The collector, the first victim, was found in his car, his hands missing. No blood at the scene, no forced entry, just a note tucked neatly into his shirt pocket. "You won't need these anymore." The second night, Detective Emma Langley had seen gruesome killings before, but something about this one felt deliberate, surgical, precise. Then the second victim appeared, a woman, found in her kitchen. Her eyes were gone, sockets clean to the bone. A note rested beside her. They saw too much. The pattern. The victims weren't random. Both had dark pasts. The first, a surgeon who had botched operations and covered it up. The second, a journalist who had exposed others, but hid her own secrets. Whoever was doing this wasn't just killing. They were taking something from each victim. The third night, Emma barely slept. At 3 a.m., a rustling sound pulled her from sleep. She reached for her gun, but froze. On her nightstand was a note that hadn't been there before. "What have you taken?" She knew what it meant. Years ago, she had let an innocent man go to prison. She knew the truth but said nothing. And now, someone else knew too. The final night, she barricaded the door, kept the lights on, but at 3 a.m., the power flickered out. A shadow loomed in the corner, not moving, just watching. Then, a whisper. "What do I take from you?" Her chest tightened. Her fingers went numb. She couldn't feel her hands anymore. Pain shot through her arms as invisible force peeled her skin away. She tried to scream, but her voice was gone. The next day, they found her in bed, eyes vacant, hands missing, and the final note resting on her pillow. "Now, we're even." The collector. The first body was found in an alley behind an abandoned diner. A man in his 30s, laid out like a doll, his limbs neatly arranged. His eyes were missing, not gouged, not cut, just gone. On the wall above him, written in blood, "I only take what's beautiful." The second night, Detective Eric Mason had seen some of the worst crimes the city had to offer. But this was different. There was no struggle, no defensive wounds. It was as if the victim had let it happen. Then came the second body, a woman, found in her apartment. Same pose, same missing eyes, same words on the wall. Eric's stomach twisted, because this time there was something new. A mirror, placed carefully beside the body, and in it, a reflection that didn't belong. The pattern. Eric dug deeper. The killings weren't random. All the victims had something in common. They were beautiful, not just physically. Artists, musicians, writers, people who created something meaningful. And every crime scene had a mirror left behind, as if the killer wanted the victims to see themselves before they died, or worse, see what was coming for them. The third night, Eric's phone buzzed at 3 a.m. A message, unknown number. "Beauty is fleeting, detective." Then an image attachment, a photo of himself, taken from outside his own window. Eric's pulse pounded. He turned slowly and saw a figure in the darkness, watching, waiting. Then, the figure smiled, and its eyes were his own. The final night, Eric didn't sleep, didn't eat. He felt watched. Every mirror in his home felt wrong. At 3 a.m., his phone buzzed again. A new message. "Tonight, I collect. Then shuffling footsteps behind him, Eric turned and saw his own reflection step out of the mirror. It wasn't him. Not exactly. Its features were too perfect, its eyes too deep, and in its hand, a gleaming, silver blade. "Only the beautiful ones," it whispered. The lights flickered. The reflection moved closer. Eric tried to scream, but a cold hand covered his mouth, and the last thing he saw was his own eyes, staring back at him from something that was not him at all. The next day, they found Eric in his apartment, laid out like a doll, his eyes missing, and on the wall, written in deep, crimson letters, "Perfection." The faceless man. The first victim was found in his car, parked on the side of a deserted highway. His face was gone, not cut, not burned, just smooth skin where his features should have been. His ID was still in his wallet, his name still on his license. But the man in the driver's seat, he had no identity anymore. Carved into the dashboard, with something sharp and deliberate. He takes what you don't deserve. The second night, Detective Harper Gray had never seen anything like it. No fingerprints, no blood, no signs of a struggle, just an empty-faced corpse and a message left behind. She barely had time to process it before the second victim appeared. This time, a woman in her own apartment. Same faceless skin, same message, this time scrawled across her bedroom mirror. But something was different. Her journal was open on the desk. The last entry, written in shaking letters. I saw him in the reflection. Harper's stomach twisted. She glanced at the mirror, and for a split second she thought she saw something move behind her. The pattern. The victims weren't random. Harper dug through their pasts. Both had secrets. The first had stolen his best friend's identity years ago, ruining her life to save his own. The second had been a fraud, a woman who built her career on plagiarized work. They had faces that weren't really theirs to keep, and something or someone had decided to take them back. The third night, the call came at 3 a.m. A voice, distorted and cold. Do you deserve your face, detective? Harper's blood turned to ice. She hung up, then a knock at the window. She turned, and in the reflection of the glass, a man with no face stood behind her. She spun around. Nothing was there, but in the window's fogged-up surface, one word had been written. Soon, the final night. Harper didn't go home, didn't sleep. She locked herself in her office, avoiding every mirror, every reflection. But at 3 a.m., the lights dimmed, the air turned heavy, and the reflection on her darkened computer screen, it wasn't hers anymore. A whisper crawled through the silence. You don't deserve it. Her skin burned, her vision blurred, and slowly her face began to fade. She clawed at her skin, at the empty void where her features used to be. The last thing she saw was her own face, smiling back at her from the other side of the screen. The next day, they found Harper Gray at her desk, body untouched, but her face gone and carved into the wall for the next detective to find. He takes what you don't deserve.